First thing I watched this month was the 2025 film Woman in the Yard, directed by Joe Colette Serra. His filmography is very broad, spanning over multiple genres, such as The Shallows, Nonstop, and House of Wax, just to name a few. With The Woman in the Yard, he takes another stab at the horror genre. Any film with a small cast such as this, I think, lives and dies off of their family dynamic. And basically that just boils down to, does this family on screen feel like an actual family? Even though it is supposed to be a strained, broken relationship, hanging on by a thread, it really just doesn't feel, with the lack of a better word, real. I do believe that this is a plot that would have just worked a lot better as a short story. It just doesn't need this much convolution and filler. Because, of course, just like most things, the less we know about the villain or the monster, the better, the more scary it is. And it's the same with this. In the beginning, the woman was very intimidating, and then just as the story went on, she just kind of lost her fear factor. The woman's design in the very beginning, I think, is very cool, and it was very creepy, but I think she reveals her face way too early, and just with, like I said, most things, that you just lose the creepiness factor when you reveal the monster, and I think it just showed its hand way too early. And as far as the protagonist goes, the more we learn about her, the less we like her. We kind of start getting drip-fed information about what happened to her husband, and it just kind of makes us distance ourselves from her as a character, and I think that was intentional. Just to show that raw humanity, that there's just some people just aren't good, and they're aware of that, and are trying to atone and live with themselves for that reason. I think the ending's very messy and convoluted, a lot of mirror symbolism without, and it just goes wild in the last 15 minutes. But yeah, that's kind of all I had to say about this one. I think it would have worked a lot better as a tighter, short story. I think it would have been a lot scarier, and that's what they were going for. There was no campiness or anything. It was just they were going for straight up suspense horror. So all in all, like I said, didn't love it. I give it like a 2 out of 10.
There's a Woman in the Yard.
Next on the list is the 2025 film Megan 2.0. It's a sequel to the 2022 horror sci-fi film Megan. It attempts a complete genre overhaul. It felt very similar to the vibe shifts in Army of Darkness and Aliens and Cars 2. I would call it a action sci-fi, I guess a little bit of comedy in there too. Not saying that the comedy ever landed. The theater that I went in was pretty full, and it was just crickets the whole time. I was also hoping it would be more fun, kind of like the first one. The first one was creepy and stuff, and that's where some of the fun came from. But this one, you're kind of looking for it in the action and the kills, and it just never delivers. With a PG-13 rating, you can only get away with so much, I guess. But I was still just kind of hoping for more. It was a lot of 30 guys run at a person, and they all just punch them in the head and throw them across the room and stuff like that. I think I was just expecting a little bit more variety. And I also might be biased because I'm so much of a bigger horror fan than I am action. So any diversion from the original formula, I feel like I just wouldn't like anyway. And I'll always respect a commitment to practical effects. A lot of the scenes were shot with actual animatronics, then smoothed over afterwards with CGI. But with the uncanny features of the animatronics, I think it would just work so much better in the vein of horror. And some of the film also just felt like they were trying to recreate those viral moments from the first one, trying to create new viral moments. Some of the dialogue just felt very forced, like it was trying to get a TikTok sound or something made from it. And of course, you have to have the dance scene just like the first one. Still not as egregious as the dance scene in Venom Last Dance though, so they had that going for it. The plot just also felt like they were going for too many gotcha moments, and there was a couple of twists in the end, and some of them worked sort of, some of them just didn't work at all, and I think it could have just went with maybe one twist, but going for multiple and then revealing them all at different times just felt kind of sloppy in the end. I do like the idea of the techno AI god that they were trying to release. That was a pretty cool premise, and I kind of would have liked to see that explored more, but naturally, it wasn't. Overall, I just wish it would pick a lane. If it was going for horror, I wish it was scarier. If it was going for action, I wish it was more fun. And yeah, they were going for a redemption of the character, and they did succeed with that. So I'm sure there's going to be a million more sequels. Overall, I give it like a 3 out of 10. The next movie I watched this month was the 2025 film Drop. It's a mystery thriller about a woman getting terrorized digitally by an unknown force. Didn't do this on purpose, but this is accidentally my third Blumhouse production film in a row. I feel like there really needs to be a word for watching too many Blumhouse productions back to back, because I think it has some sort of effect on you, and I don't entirely know how to explain it. It feels like all of them have the same structure. It's this new Blumhouse half horror, half thriller type movies. They just feel so unapologetically average. It's like they're not doing anything groundbreaking, but they're not so funny it's bad. It's just the same formula again and again. It just feels like they greenlight every nuanced thriller of today. I'm not saying every Blumhouse production is like that, because there has been some bangers in the past few years. But anyways, I'm just going to call it Blumming out. This is my third Blumhouse production in the span of like a week-ish, so I'm Blumming out right now really hard. And now that the Blumhouse rant's over, I can start talking about the actual film. It sort of seems like Drop had some sort of identity crisis where it didn't know what it was going to be. Like, it couldn't decide if it wanted to be a full-on mystery or just a straight-up thriller, because they don't give us any characters or any clues about who this secret antagonist could be. So when the reveal finally happens, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember him from like 2 minutes of screen time earlier. There's just no build-up to anything. This film centers a lot around dating culture and what it's like for different people to kind of get back out there. And it plays on the dangers and the mysteries of that. But the whole film just sort of falls apart because the whole premise of it doesn't really make any sense. It's just way too elaborate of a plan where the antagonist in the end has to overly explain every little piece and detail for it to sort of pseudo make sense. I mean, I'll put a lot of my thoughts in post because I really don't have much to say about this. It's just so average. It's a movie. That's all it is. The one thing I can say that was kind of good about it, it had some fun red herrings where it kind of some misleads, and that was sort of fun. But I mean, I give this like a 1 out of 10. Next up is a much-needed breath of fresh air. It's the 2023 film Strange Darling, starring Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner, best known for Smile and its subsequent sequel. It follows the stories of our two protagonists known only by Lady and Demon. And I can't tell you how much I needed this. Turns out the cure to Blumming out is just watching a good movie. Even though the narrative as we see it from the viewer standpoint is very out of order, it still feels very Odyssey-like. And I feel like I throw that word around a lot. But if you look at this film as a whole and kind of unjumble it, it does seem like a long journey from point A to point B. Even though the cast outside of our two main protagonists have very brief roles, they really are memorable and they really have an impact and so much character in this little bit of time that we meet with them. And I'm a really big fan of the use of the non-linear narrative in this. It shows you the start and towards the end of the story, and just the whole rest of the movie is just filling in the context of the middle of it. And this middle is not just action or filler or anything, it completely rewrites the ending of the story from what you know it. The twist is instantly up there with some of my favorites. I'm not going to give away too much because you should definitely watch it yourself. Go in completely blind. Another thing this film does very well is the music. Every time the demon is introduced into a scene, it plays his theme song, which just adds to the urgency and terror of him being in a scene. And just the music throughout the film. A lot of fun needle drops and a very, very tense score. Very memorable and unique cinematography. It's a lot of fun shots and framings, a lot of still frames, bright, moody colors. Both the lead actors killed it in this one. I don't want to give away anything else. You if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it yourself to really experience it. Just go in completely blind, like I said. It's very show don't tell with its plot points, and trust me, coming off of 3 Blumhouse thriller films, that was really nice to have, where you don't have everything over explained to you. Just a very solid watch overall. I think I'd give it probably like an 8.5 out of 10. I then watched the 2023 film The Passenger, starring Johnny Burchtold and, again, Kyle Gallner. And I did, unfortunately, relapse. I jumped right back into the Blumhouse machine. I'm just another cog. But this one was leagues better than the other 3. I've kind of came to the conclusion that a lot of the problems Blumhouse has is with their PG-13 projects. Those are the ones that are a lot more samey and by the books, but it seems like they take a lot more creative risks and stuff when it comes to their rated R stuff. This film was directed by Carter Smith. A little side tangent, he has like 4 movies in his filmography that he's directed, and one of them just so happens to be the 2008 film The Ruins, which for some reason really messed me up as a kid. It's the one where a group goes on top of an ancient temple and gets attacked by like evil sentient vines, but I just remember the very end has the vines escape through a person, and I don't know, that always just messed me up when I saw it as a kid. But anyways, back to the film that we're actually talking about today. Kyle Gallner, again, has been on a roll lately. He kind of carries this with his performance. He's just so spastic and a loose cannon. You're always kind of on the edge of your seats, just waiting for him to freak out and just cause problems. See, the message of this film is not letting your past control you and just letting go and moving on. And that's what our characters have to work through, both in their own ways. Our 2 protagonists, Randy and Benson, work very well off of each other. It's a very good dynamic. It's almost feels like a good cop, bad cop when they're talking to other characters. And that's just, that's really fun throughout. And just trying to figure out what makes this Benson character tick. He just feels like he's a time bomb waiting to go off the entire film. It's also very interesting because no matter how much of a bad person Benson is and how spastic he is, he still, at the end of the day, helps Randy for the long run. He improves his life in the end. Was it a traumatic, horrible experience for most of the characters in our film? Yes, but it's kind of a weird 2-sided coin because his life improved. The most memorable thing in this film is for sure the performance of the actors, of our protagonists mostly. Everything else is just sort of just all right. Nothing really stands out that much. It was a very good story. Some cheesy parts, some cheesy dialogue in there, but nothing to bog down the overall plot. I give it like a 6.5 out of 10. Next up is the 2025 film Superman, directed by James Gunn, which is causing some pretty polarizing debates right now. People either say it's the best Superman yet, or it's the worst. What do I think? I think it's alright, I guess. Didn't love it. I think the casting was perfect all the way around. I think Nicholas Hoult is a really, really good Lex Luthor. And I enjoyed the Boy Scout style suits. I didn't have a problem with any of that. All the supporting roles were very good. Lois Lane, Hawkgirl, Miss Terrific, Guy Gardner. I think all those were casted very well, and I really enjoyed the performances. Good costume design all around with all the heroes. I know a lot of people weren't big fans of Superman's costume, but I think it turned out really good. I really enjoyed the returning home storyline, especially after the what you find out about the Kryptonian parents. It's just nice to see what a good house he grew up in, and just how sweet his Ma and Pa are. That's really cool to see. And it really emphasizes just the hope that they put into him, and just the hope that he gives the world after that. I'm kind of firing off everything I liked about the movie right off the bat, go full glaze mode, because there is quite a few negatives that I have about it also. So I guess I'll go ahead and get into some of my gripes of the film. First and foremost, kind of this the main thing that I noticed when watching. You know how, like, when you're watching Godzilla vs. Kong or any Godzilla movie, really, and you get like 5 minutes of cool Godzilla stuff, and then there's 45 minutes of just Millie Bobby Brown kind of like learning about Godzilla. That's kind of how I felt about all the Lois Lane stuff and all the Jimmy Olsen stuff. Like, I know it's pivotal to the story, surprisingly so. A lot of this story relies on Jimmy Olsen being able to pull women. That's like the driving force of how they save the day. And I think just overall there was an over-reliance on side characters in this, especially Crypto. He comes in and saves the day far too much, I think, and just never lets Superman have his own fight, it seems. But, I mean, when Superman does have his own fight, he's getting his ass beaten the entire movie. I mean, it starts off with him getting his ass beaten, and through the whole movie, in the end, he's just getting his ass beaten again. There just seems to be no power growth throughout the end. And if you look at the film as a whole, you got to think, what did Superman do this movie? And in the very beginning, he gets destroyed, has to be dragged by Crypto to the Fortress of Solitude to get healed. And you think, oh, well, in the end, he's going to be way stronger and he's going to be untouchable like Superman is, you know. Spoiler alert, no. Then the next big fight, the big monster, he punches it a few times. The Guardians of the Globe come. He tells them not to hurt it, They kill it. He lets it down easy. That's all he does with that fight. Next, in the pocket dimension, he grabs the baby, grabs Crypto, runs to the door, barely makes it out. Okay, that's that fight. During the later half of the film, he is getting absolutely destroyed on a baseball field, almost dying, until he flies up into space and then slams himself back down into the ground. Then making it just Ultraman versus Superman, which, spoiler alert now, turns out to be a clone of him. And if you were confused at all during this, don't worry. There's about 45 seconds of Lex Luthor painstakingly explaining everything that happened throughout the whole movie to you in that instant, so don't worry. So now you're thinking, oh, and so it's a pretty fair fight, and Superman's gonna get the upper hand because he's learned so much throughout the movie, and he's not gonna get his ass completely kicked, right? Also wrong, he's about to get killed, but Crypto comes in and saves him, and then he narrowly makes it out. While this is going on, the invasion is happening that he cared so much about. It's been a plot point the entire film, and they are begging for Superman to come and save them. So he pulls off and goes and saves them, right? Wrong, that's Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific actually coming to save the day, and the classic James Gunn middle finger makes an appearance if you guys were worried that it wasn't going to. So then they throw Superman some fodder enemies that he can punch in slow motion, and it's a cool little montage until he goes and picks somebody his own size that he could actually probably beat in a fight, which is Lex Luthor. He could probably take him hand to hand, I guess. And I'm gonna stop now because I feel like I'm going like way too hard on it. It just really bothered me going to see it, and I was thinking about the whole time how he just got destroyed the whole movie, didn't do anything. And that's not even to mention the Lois Lane side stuff and the Jimmy Olsen side stuff that I guess Lex Luthor would have got off scot-free without. So I feel like Superman wouldn't have even beat Lex Luthor technically if it wasn't for Lois and Jimmy. I really don't hate this movie as much as it sounds like I did. It's just a friend of mine said something earlier that I didn't really think about, but it said that James Gunn has made so many superhero team movies that he might not know how to make a superhero movie and give him his like superhero moment. And I think that's what this film was missing, was Superman never got his big moment to stand out. He was always relying on someone else to save him or do something else for him. And I really didn't hate this movie as much as it sounds like I did. Those were just some things that really bothered me while watching. I really do like this Superman as far as the character. I think he did a really good job, really good performance and everything. And I'm interested to see where James Gunn takes the DCU next. I just think it could have been better. I was a little disappointed. Overall, might be mad at this. I'll give it like a 4 out of 10. I'm sorry. Next up is the 2025 thriller Locked, directed by David Yarovesky. And I'm going to kind of speed run this one because I don't think there's anything I liked about this film. It is a complete waste of Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. I mean, everything about this, it just seems like they're just in it for the paycheck. Like, they do not care about anything that happens in this film. I mean, you have an older juggernaut of the thriller genre, and then you have a new age juggernaut in the same film, and it's just completely wasted. It's insane. The film tries to explore injustices in the judicial system, as well as equal opportunities for the rich and poor, and it is not subtle about it at all. I mean, it is constantly showing you clips of the homeless, and it's all that they talk about in the film. It's just so in your face. It's kind of annoying by the end of it. And I'm usually a fan of the one location type films. I just always think it's so impressive to make the most out of one setting or one set. And with this one, it just seems like they instantly ran out of things to do in this car. And it's just so boring to sit through. You have to listen to Bill Skarsgård scream for the whole movie, and Anthony Hopkins just lecture him about society, and it just gets so old so fast. I'm going to fire off a few more dislikes real quick. The editing, immediately hate it. It's like a new techno style. It looked awful. They did the whole, but he's a good person in a bad spot type thing where he feeds a dog. So that's their way of telling you, hey, this is the good guy. No matter what he's doing, you should root for him. All the dialogue just felt super cliche. The voice, like Anthony Hopkins' voice over the speaker, just wasn't menacing. It wasn't intimidating at all. Just kind of jokey a lot of times, hard to take serious. And I just can't stress enough how much it seems like the actors in this film do not care about what they're doing in this film. It's insane. Yeah, I think I'm going to go super low with it. I mean, I don't think I liked anything about this movie. I think I'm just going to go 1 out of 10. On a more cheery note, the next film is 2025's Eddington, directed by Ari Aster. This film is a perfect time capsule of the year 2020. It perfectly encapsulates all the crazy things that happened that year. And the only thing I could think of the whole time while watching it was, is this too soon? It almost feels like some of these topics are like super hush-hush and super taboo to talk about because it's so fresh in our minds. But I guess, I mean, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to challenge that narrative, and I think it works. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you face, what happened. And I know Aster said that if he could have made it in 2020, he would have, which would have been insane. This is definitely Aster's most grounded film, especially coming off the heels of Beau is Afraid. And it's funny, Joaquin is the protagonist in both, so I think that helps contrast the back-to-back films, where one is just an insane, trippy odyssey, and the other one is just a more grounded, small-town narrative. But I mean, Aster's directing style is just still so potent with this movie. Everything, some of these shots that shouldn't be terrifying are just so looming and scary. I can think of like 2 off the top of my head that I was just physically uncomfortable in my seat just because, just by the way that he frames things and uses shadows, it just makes you so uneasy. They kind of kept leaving breadcrumbs for different little side plots and then not pursuing them. I was expecting a little bit more out of the Austin Butler character that just never really went deeper into anything with that. But I suppose he did have a purpose. His character did have a purpose, and it was to take his wife away from him, and it succeeded in that. And that's kind of our driving force for the whole narrative, is our protagonist wants this authority, and he has this authority in his life. But the one thing he'll never have authority over is his wife. So the struggle with that is very interesting to see. While watching the whole time, I knew there was going to be a violent dime turn from the slower first little bit of the movie, and it didn't hit as hard as I thought it would. That's probably one of my only gripes with it. I thought the sudden act of violence would kind of hit the vibe a little harder, but it really didn't change that much. But yeah, good acting all around. A lot of cool cinematography and shots, especially the final chase scene. Really awesome. Overall, I give it a 7. The last thing I caught this month was Jurassic World Rebirth. It works as a little reset of the series. It does end up retconning a lot from the last movie. What was it? Jurassic World Dominion. Whereas Dominion kind of ended off that dinosaurs and people live together now. This one immediately came in and was like, we don't really like that idea anymore. We're not going to do that. Which is fine. I think that idea is kind of silly anyway. Like, that definitely wouldn't work. And the intro kind of shows us that it's a horrible idea anyway. But as far as the film goes, it's a pretty good action flick. A lot of the acting is, passable. It's not about the acting. You just want to see cool dinosaurs. And it does deliver for the most part, unless you're talking about the poster child, the D-Rex. He probably had 5 minutes of screen time, and I was kind of upset about that. I was really looking forward to seeing some cool stuff with him. And just in the very beginning and the very end, I was a little nervous watching it when the family showed up, because I just wanted to see like a cool band of mercenaries go to a dinosaur island, and I was really worried that the family dynamic was going to be shoved in there and it was just going to be used for comedic relief the whole time. And I'm glad they didn't go that direction. They went with almost 2 separate stories on the island. One is more family and child oriented, and the other one is more serious. I think they could have used the idea of all the dinosaurs there being mutations. It just feels like the only thing it did was change the look of them. It would like give some an extra fin or some spikes or something, and I think they could have went like crazy with that idea. I think that would have been a lot cooler. I enjoyed all of the characters not having weapons. I was worried that they would just be shooting everything the whole time, but it really added to the danger when you just have to run. I was hoping some of the character deaths would have a little bit more weight. It really just seemed like the mercenaries moved on very fast after their friend was just eaten. But it just seems very inconsequential whenever a character would die. And those are just a few of my gripes with the movie. It's nothing egregious. It's a really fun movie. The intro is very fun, very scary. Little side thing, it did feel like the D-Rex scale felt off. In the very beginning, he was very small. There's one scene where he is huge, like taking down a helicopter. And then later on, he just kind of goes back to normal size, which is kind of funny. And last thing, the score was also very nice. It's a remix of a lot of the Jurassic Park score. And so that was just kind of fun to hear. Overall, it gave us the dinosaurs. That's all you really want. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.